What is up, guys? It is LSU Recruiting HQ. I am your host, Michael. Today is November 17th, 2023, and we've been out for a while, man. We had our wisdom teeth taken out. That's kind of, man, I look like a chipmunk for like a week. So I finally look normal. I might not sound as normal. I sound like I got peanut butter in my mouth sometimes, but show must go on, That's how we roll around here at LSU Recruiting HQ. I've been covering LSU hoops this week, man. They've been in Charleston this week at the Charleston Classic for basketball. That's been pretty exciting, getting up and close and personal with the basketball team. But, man, today's episode, we're going to be talking about recruiting, man. It's your recruiting update for this week. And, boys, it is getting hot out here. It's getting hot out here. We obviously had Jimbo getting fired this week. We have transfer portal stuff going on. We had Zach Arnett getting fired. Those are two schools within LSU's pipeline for recruiting, and we're going to talk about it here today. LSU, this 2024 class, obviously is super locked in, but did recently have a decommitment from Kai Bates. I know everybody's like up in arms about this stuff about the DB room. It is what it is at this point. LSU went out there and got guys that they evaluated and they wanted to replace these guys, knowing that this was kind of coming down the road. You losing a guy like Kai Bates and a guy like Andre Evans is never good. But I think they got pieces that replace them. And obviously they're going to hit the portal again because you can't just replace guys with freshmen. You have to keep going through the portal every year until these freshmen start developing. So hopefully you can have freshmen that are on the team now step up next year into those roles. But if not, obviously Coach Kelly's going to hit the portal again. But like I said, that was a big recruiting news this week was Kai Bates decommitting. Looks like it's a Florida State thing. He's actually going to FAMU this weekend. But he just visited Tallahassee and then decommitted. So kind of put the pieces together there, man. But LSU's class sits right outside the top 10 as it sits right now. They've been steady going in and out of that top 10 range. Got as high as 6, I believe, after Weston Davis committed. Never really fell below like 13-ish, but they've been teeter-tottering. There's probably like a half a point difference between like 6 and 11 on the On3 site, which is what I'm using. LSU is just doing a tremendous job recruiting the state of Louisiana this year. Obviously, you hate to see guys like McKinley Jackson and Wardell Mack go out of state. But it is what it is there. LSU's working hard on these guys from A&M right now. You got guys like Terry Bussey out there. You got guys, the defensive lineman out of Evangel. Like, these guys are on the brink, right? And I feel like in the next month or two, you're going to see a lot of those guys start making their decisions once they figure out who the coaching staff is at A&M and kind of like what direction that program's going. A&M made a good decision by putting Elijah Robinson as the interim head coach. He's a tremendous recruiter. He recruited a lot of those guys from Louisiana. And so they're trying to keep that class in tank. LSU's pushing hard every day to get those guys here. You got a guy like Terry Buss who's visited LSU multiple times and stuff like that. So that's always a thing to keep out for. I would look for one of those names to start popping to. You obviously got Draylon Evans out there as well, the wide receiver, who was committed to A&M, who took an LSU visit. Everybody thought he was going to pop for LSU, and he's kind of holding off now. So kind of like waiting and seeing with him because everybody still feels good how LSU's doing in that. But I kind of go off of what the kid's doing, and the kid is visiting several different places. So I kind of feel like he still doesn't know. And so if he doesn't know, obviously nobody else does. And LSU is still in the hunt there, obviously. But we're going to move on to probably the most exciting topic that we talk about today. And that is this 2025 recruiting class. Now, obviously I'm biased, right? I've covered LSU recruiting since about 2016. That's when I really started getting in depth in this thing. I'm telling you guys, this 2025 class is shaping up to be LSU's best recruiting class of all time. and it is only November of the year before this signing class even gets signed, right? Like this class doesn't sign until this time around next year, Christmas time, and you already have 4 or 5 guys in there now. You have a commit from a 5-star wide receiver in Decorian Moore. You have a guy like Jalen Bell out of Georgia, a solid cornerback. You have a guy in state out of Edna Carr, a huge wide receiver prospect in Teron Francis. You have a tight end prospect in J.D. LaFleur, and you obviously have a good offensive lineman commit and Brett Borderline, brother of Bo Borderline, who is already on campus. I get those two confused all the time. But that being said, you already have 5 guys committed in that class, right? You're already sitting in a good top 10 range right now. But then things start to get heated up. And the next 2 months for LSU are going to be the most important months for securing this class as any, right? You have a guy like Keelan Moses, little brother of Dylan Moses, who's committing in just 15 days. And you have a guy like Harlan Berry who's announcing his decision December 18th. And then you have a guy in Bryce Underwood who said he's going to be announcing his commitment around January-ish at around the All-American game or something like that. It's like January 6th, I believe. January 6th. So you have a guy, Keelan Moses, right? 4-star linebacker from right here at U High. All right. Not like a crazy highly rated player, but this is the guy that they want to build the foundation with in Louisiana. This is the guy that you want to build your class around. This is the big recruiter. He's the guy who knows everybody type thing. But then you have a guy like Harlan Berry, number 1 running back. You already have the number 1 wide receiver in the nation committed to you. You get the number 1 running back on board there in December. A guy out of New Orleans, St. Martin's, like the best high school running back prospect since Leonard Fournette. Like that's the kind of like category we're putting Harlan Berry in. He's visited LSU a ton. He's making his decision now. I think LSU lands him. I think LSU gets him on board. And then that sets up the table for Bryce Underwood. And I know what you guys are saying. And y'all think it's like a done deal. Like he's coming to LSU. Man, be patient. Don't get your hopes up. Right? Kind of play it by ear, man. This is the number 1 player in the country. Not just the number 1 quarterback in the country, which is already a big deal. This is the number 1 player overall in the country. And LSU is in a great spot. If he committed today, he'd probably be committing to LSU. He has only visited the in-state schools in Michigan and Michigan State, and LSU. Now, a lot can change. Obviously, we have the dead period coming up here after the December signing period. So, he can still take visits the rest of the year, but he is extremely focused on his state championship run. He hasn't taken many visits. And it'll be a shocker to me if he ends up taking any before the dead period, which leaves LSU in a tremendous spot. It's the only place he's visited multiple times is LSU in the in-state schools in Michigan. And with Michigan just now taking a 2025 quarterback of their own already, I wouldn't say they've punted, but they are having that security blanket because I think they feel like LSU is in the lead as well. I don't think that move gets made. I don't think they say, hey, we'll take your commitment. Now, if that wasn't the case. And so now you're saying you have the number 1 overall prospect. You have the number 1 running back, number 1 player in Louisiana, and you add Keelan Moses, you're sitting at the number 1 class. And it's not even close. And you guys know, you guys follow recruiting. LSU hasn't had the number 1 class in, I don't remember when. Like, it's been Alabama, it's been Georgia. I know since I've covered recruiting, they haven't even sniffed it. I think the closest they got was like 3. And it wasn't like a close 3. It was like they were still far behind Georgia and Alabama. Like Georgia and Alabama were just running through everybody, and then LSU kind of gets what's left type thing, But that could be changing, man. Y'all said Brian Kelly can't recruit. Might have to eat them words here in 2025 because I'm telling you guys, man, this 2025 class is going to be absolutely loaded. I got a good feeling about it. about all these guys. Obviously, we're waiting to see what Bryce Underwood. That's the biggest domino. I feel great about Harlan Berry. I feel great about Keelan Moses. But Bryce Underwood is that blue chipper, man. And you've surrounded this class. You get the number one running back. You get the number one wide receiver. They see what you're doing with the offensive line. Like, that's attractive. They see what Jaden Daniels is doing on the field. Like, that's attractive to a young quarterback coming out of high school. Like, who wouldn't want to come play in this offense? And that's what LSU's selling. And, man, it sounds like Bryce Underwood is buying, man. So, that's all I got for you guys today, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this recruiting update. Make sure you go subscribe to the page, like the channel, like the video, comment on here. Let me know if you guys think LSU has a chance to get the number one class in the nation for 2025 and where you think they're going to end up for 2024. I still think they're going to land with a solid class. So we'll see how all that plays out, man. It's going to be a crazy last 2 months with the end of the season coming for football. You got coaching changes, you got recruiting, you got everything, man. We're going to have you all up to date. But like I said, man, if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing. All it does is help us out. And I will see you guys next time.